And I'm glad finally education is coming up in a major debate. This is what I would do. We are 29th in the world in science and math compared to the EU, to countries in China and India. They graduate 4 or 5 times more engineers. There is a competitiveness gap here. This is what I would do. One, I'd have 100,000 new science and math teachers. But we have to pay our teachers what they deserve, a minimum wage, what I believe of $40,000 per year. I'd get rid of No Child Left Behind. I would have science and math academies, but in the high school curriculum, it's critically important that we have more civics, more language, and art in the schools, Governor, to provoke creativity in science and math proficiency.
30-second limit on these, Congressman.
There's a statue above the House of Representatives of a woman whose arm is outstretched, and she is protecting a child sitting next to a pile of books. The title of this statue is Peace Protecting Genius. We need to have a country that stands for peace, that gets us out of the wars. We see the connection between global warring and global warming. We cut the Pentagon budget 15%. $75 billion will go into a universal pre-kindergarten program, so our children ages 3, 4, and 5 will have access to full-time daycare, and more money would go into elementary and secondary education. In addition to that, our college-age students need to know that with the Kucinich administration, they're guaranteed a 2- or 4-year college tuition-free, and it'll be paid for by the government investing in our young people. That's the kind of approach I'll take to education.
Thank you, Congressman. Senator.
I do think that we have to have more instruction in the classroom. We're going to have to pay for that, and the federal government has to help strapped local districts in order to make that happen. We also have to, if we want to develop math and science curriculums, we've got to make math and science jobs attractive, which means increasing research grants. And this is something that is important not just for our competitiveness, but also for our long-term national security. And when George Bush requests $196 billion for next year's wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and is seeing a flatlining of investment in science research, that makes it more difficult for us to encourage our children to go into sciences.
Senator Obama, thank you. Senator Clinton.
Well, very quickly, I would start at the very beginning. We need to do more to help our families prepare their children. A family is a child's first school. The parents are a child's first teacher. This is something that I've worked on for many years. We need to really support it through nurse visitation or social work or child care. We need to do more with the pre-kindergarten program that I have proposed. In addition, though, this has to fit into an overall innovation agenda, which I have also set forth, because we can't just say go to school longer. We need to do what happened when I was in school and Sputnik went up and our teacher said, your president wants you to study math and science. That's what I want kids today to feel, that it's part of making sure we maintain our quality of life and our standard of living.
Senator Edwards.
I think we still have 2 public school systems in many ways in America. We have one for affluent communities and one for everybody else. I think the things that we need to do specifically, we should have universal pre-K for all 4-year-olds. We ought to deal with the nutritional and health care needs of younger children, younger than 4 years of age, starting at about age 2. We should have a national teaching university so that we attract our most talented young people, send them out across America to teach in the toughest places to teach. We should give incentive pay to teachers who are willing to teach in the most difficult places. We should have second chance schools for kids who are dropping out, and college for any kid who's willing to work when they're in college.
Senator, thank you. Senator Biden.
Yes, I proposed it in 1987. We should go to school longer. We either have to assume that our kids are natively brighter than every other child in the world, or that somehow we have to go to school longer. Secondly, we should have a minimum of 16 years of education. Thirdly, we should be focusing on the socially economic disadvantaged, mostly minorities in inner cities. That's something we've ignored. We pay no attention to it. We pretend they're the same circumstance as every other kid in America. They start off with the half of the education gap exists before they set foot in the first classroom. That should be the focus.
Senator Dodd.
Well, Brian, this is I've often said the single most important issue. When I've been asked the question over the years, what's the single most important issue, I always say education, because it is the answer to every other problem we confront as a people here. We've got to begin. I'm proud to have been named as Senator of the Decade by the Head Start Association. All the ideas that are being advocated in early childhood education are critical. The federal government needs to be a better partner in all of this, not take away control locally. But a child's quality of education shouldn't depend on the accident of birth, and that's what happens too often in our country. The children in Philadelphia or in Connecticut or wherever else are going to be competing with children in Johannesburg and Sydney and Moscow and Beijing. We need to make the kind of investments jointly with our local communities. Higher education community colleges need to be more tuition free. I have an idea on how to do that so that we provide that continuum from the earliest stages through higher education to meet the challenges of the 21st century.
I have to keep you to time, Senator. Thank you. We're going to continue this notion of a lightning round after a quick break. We're going to start our next segment with a question handed to me by a student here at Drexel today. So again, our last break now and a short one. We will continue from Philadelphia right after this. Drexel University in Philadelphia, something we'd like to institute as the lightning round. We put a clock and a noise, perhaps not loud or severe enough on the screen as we tried this out. In the previous segment, we're going to try to get tougher and heavier concerning our enforcement. I promised to begin with a question handed me by a Drexel student today. It dovetails, and Senator Dodd, we'll start with you. It dovetails with what physicians have asked me to ask in this room to this group here tonight. With so many young people choosing not to go into medicine, so many veteran physicians